On July 4th, America turned 250. In 1776, about 2.5 million people lived in the 13 colonies. In 2026, the official census estimate is 341,784,857. That is more than 136 times as many people. But population is only the top line. Americans live decades longer. 4 out of 5 live in urban areas. The center of population moved nearly 886 miles. Yet the cleanest chart hides a complication. For much of American history, millions were missing from the count, or excluded from the vote. So this is America at 250 as an audit. What changed, who was included, and what do the numbers actually prove? Start with scale. The first national census in 1790 counted 3,929,214 residents. New York City had just 33,131 people, smaller than many modern college towns. The national count more than doubled to 9.6 million by 1820. It passed 106 million in 1920, reached 203.3 million in 1970, and exceeded 308.7 million in 2010. That growth came through births, falling death rates, immigration, and expansion across a continent. It changed where political power went, where companies found customers, and where roads, schools, and utilities had to be built. A government serving a few million people near the Atlantic could rely on paper, horses, and local knowledge. A country approaching 342 million needs national systems that can count, connect, and serve people at enormous scale. Population is the force that reshaped almost every other number in this video. The second transformation is not how many Americans there are. It is how they live. In 1900, average life expectancy was 47.3 years. By 2024, it had reached 79. That is a gain of 31.7 years in a little more than a century. Public health, sanitation, medicine, safer work, and lower infant mortality all contributed. At the same time, the country moved into cities. In 1790, only 5.1% of Americans lived in places with at least 2,500 people. In the 2020 census, 80% lived in urban areas. That is a dramatic shift, but it needs a footnote. The census changed its urban definition over time. The modern threshold is 5,000 people, or a qualifying housing density, not the old 2,500-person rule. The direction is clear, but the endpoints are not perfectly comparable. Good data tells you what changed. Honest data tells you when the ruler changed too. Now put every American on an imaginary weightless map. Find the point where that map would balance, and you have the Census Bureau's center of population. In 1790, that point sat in Kent County, Maryland, 23 miles east of Baltimore. By 2020, it had traveled 885.9 miles to Wright County, Missouri. The path tells the geographic story of the country. It moved west as territories became states. Transportation opened new routes. Immigrants arrived and families relocated. Later, it bent south toward faster-growing regions. Between 2010 and 2020, the center moved another 11.8 miles, its most southerly move on record. But a moving dot can make expansion look clean. It was not. The map changed through purchases, war, migration, forced removal, and settlement on land where native nations already lived. 13 states became 50, and a population concentrated near the Atlantic shifted the country's balance almost 900 miles inland. America also changed what work means. Consider manufacturing. In 1910, factories employed 8.23 million people and accounted for 32.4% of non-farm employment. By 2015, manufacturing employed more people, 12.3 million, but represented only 8.7% of the much larger job market. The headcount rose while the share collapsed. Trade moved the other way. Wholesale and retail work grew from 13.3% of non-farm employment in 1910 to 23% in 2015. Over the same century, farms mechanized, offices computerized, and entirely new industries appeared. This is why a simple story about machines taking jobs is incomplete. Technology removes tasks, lowers the labor needed for some products, and creates demand elsewhere. The result is constant reshuffling. At 250, the economy is defined by how quickly workers and institutions must move when the mix changes again. Scale only works when people can connect. For most of the country's history, distance imposed a hard tax on everything. News, goods, votes, and people could travel only as fast as the physical network allowed. The modern interstate system now spans 46,876 route miles. It turned regional markets into a national one and made long-distance movement routine. Then the network became digital. In 2021, 90% of American households had a broadband internet subscription, up from 85% 3 years earlier. A message that once crossed the country by horse can now arrive almost instantly. But connection is another average with a gap inside it. 90% connected means roughly 1 household in 10 was not subscribed in that dataset. Roads can exist while communities remain isolated. Broadband can arrive while price or service quality keeps families offline. Infrastructure changed what America could do. Access determined who could actually do it. That brings us to the hardest ledger in the video. Who counted as part of the country, and who had a voice in it? The Constitution required a census every 10 years because population determined representation and direct taxes. But the original formula counted enslaved people as 3/5 for apportionment, while denying them political rights. It also excluded Indians not taxed. In the early census schedules, enslaved people usually appeared only as numbers under the name of a household head or owner. The Census Bureau says most American Indians were not enumerated between 1790 and 1850. The legal map changed in stages. The 15th Amendment was ratified in 1870. The 19th followed in 1920. The Voting Rights Act arrived in 1965, 95 years after the 15th Amendment. And the 26th Amendment lowered the voting age to 18 in 1971. Those dates reveal what the population curve cannot. Counting people and giving people equal political power were never the same process. The upward line from 2.5 million to nearly 342 million crosses periods when membership, citizenship, and representation were being fought over. An honest audit keeps that footnote on screen. So what does the final ledger say? Americans became vastly more numerous, more urban, longer lived, more connected, and more broadly represented. But national averages do not distribute themselves evenly. In 2024, real median household income was $83,730. The official poverty rate was 10.6%, or 35.9 million people. Both numbers can be true at the same time. The next 50 years will produce another mixed ledger. The Congressional Budget Office projects that Americans age 65 and older will grow faster than younger groups through 2036. It also projects the population age 24 or younger to decline through the next 3 decades. That means the next version of America will be shaped by aging, immigration, productivity, housing, and whether institutions can adapt as quickly as the population does. The lesson is not that every number improved. It is that the country repeatedly rebuilt its systems when scale, technology, and membership changed. The numbers show how far that process moved. The footnotes show where work remains. America at 250 is not one upward line. It is a stack of curves. Populations surged, lifespans lengthened, cities absorbed the country, work changed shape. Networks erased distance, rights expanded through conflict, law, and persistence. The headline is that America became more than 136 times larger. The deeper story is that it kept redefining who belonged and rebuilding how a country at that scale works. If you want the next headline audited the same way, subscribe. We follow the numbers, including the footnotes.